We picked him up at prison. We got him a haircut. He had a hot meal, and now Tommy Robinson sits down with me. What a pleasure to see you outside of prison and free again.
It's good to be seen.
This time was a lot different than your incarceration in HMP Onley. I would describe that as torture, physical and psychological. How was it this time?
So I was in Belmarsh, obviously, and the governor of Belmarsh made a complete effort to make sure that my rights were recognised. I was in for a civil offence. It's not a criminal offence. As a civil prisoner, you're entitled to more money. So my big thing
As in to spend more of your own money?
Spend more money. £47.50 a week I could spend, which meant I could buy as much tinned food as I wanted, and really, basically, and fruit and things like that. In Onley last year, £10 a week I had, so I could buy 6 tins of tuna. That's it.
And you couldn't eat the prison cafeteria food because, of course, it was made by the prison Muslim gangs. How was it in Belmarsh? Did you feel comfortable eating their prepared food?
So from when I went into Belmarsh prison and come out of Belmarsh prison without seeing a prisoner. The only prisoner I saw on 2 separate occasions was Julian Assange.
Now that's amazing to a lot of people because I don't know enough about Julian Assange to come to a firm conclusion, but some people call him a political prisoner. He's certainly not a violent man. You are definitely a political prisoner. For the two of you to wind up in the same prison, the same unit, that's quite something. Maybe it was inevitable. I don't know.
So he's in healthcare, so basically where I was it's a prison within the prison. So essentially no one goes to this section bit. So you've got a corridor along here, and there's no windows in the corridor. So there's a corridor, there's a door at this end and a door at this end. And on this strip there'll be 4 rooms. A prison officer's room where the staff will sit, two members of staff. Then an empty cell, and then my cell, and then the next cell, which is another empty cell with a exercise bike in it. And at the end there's a shower. So for me to have it, so the idea is that you're contained on here, no one sees you, no one knows you're there.
They call it a suite, don't they?
They call it a
suite.
For anyone who stayed in a suite in a hotel, it's not a suite. It's basically 3 cells. But so at 9 in the morning, so they'd come. My door would be opened at 9 in the morning, 9:15, and then when my door's open, then the officers then sit in their room, and then I have till 11:15 to shower, use the bike. So you're on your own, but I'll go on the bike for an hour. The bike was a godsend. The first day I saw the bike, I was like, because they said you've got your own gym. Because I said I want to go to the gym. You've got your own gym. When I was coming in reception, I saw the bike.
Is that all it is? A bike that
it was actually good. No. And then, so then I'd do an hour on the bike. I'd pace up and down to cool down a bit before I had a shower, and then I'd have a shower, and then I'd go on an exercise yard, which is a contained exercise. So the exercise yard backs onto where my window is, and it's like you see from the visit room. It's 4-story high. But there's all windows looking on this exercise yard, so it's a courtyard. But there's no cells that look onto it. There's no cells around here. This part of the prison. This is all offices. But then at the top, there's 4 cells from healthcare. So if you've had an operation, if you're in a hospital wing, there's 4 windows that looked onto this courtyard. Julian Assange's was the second window in.
So you could holler up to him, and he could holler down to you.
Yeah. So 2 days. Where were we now? 2-3 days ago, I spent 30 minutes. See him then, because again he's not having a good time.
He's been in former detention for many years.
Yeah, and as he says, the isolation is getting got to him.
I don't want to pry into any confidences, although I don't think I'd call it a confidence. Obviously every word he said to you and vice versa was tracked by the prison and probably various intelligence agencies. I don't think there's a private word spoken in those contingency suites. I know when I visited you, there was a camera in the ceiling. Are you at liberty to discuss what you talked about with him?
Yeah, I wouldn't be aware. That's why I wouldn't be aware if he didn't want me to. So through a mutual friend that was.
You know what? No problem. I just was curious. But the fact that you spoke with him was interesting.
I want to put in. But I spoke to him about a mutual friend we spoke about this morning. So anything. I said if I can.
No problem. I was just curious because I know our viewers will be tantalized. Now, when I visited you on one of those occasions, I heard some moaning or some shouting, obviously not from Assange. There's another prisoners, was there a murderer in the wing as well?
So on healthcare as well. So there's a prisoner who. So in the first week, I was speaking to him because I couldn't see him, so I haven't seen him, but you can shout out the window and you can speak to the person. There's 4 windows there, but there's one lad there who I was feeling sorry for him the first week. He's having a terrible sentence. He's 10 years in. But then
10 years in isolation?
No, he's not in isolation. So he's in help. Yeah, for his door to open, there has to be four security wearing full riot gear every time.
Oh my God, he must be a monster.
Well,
or maybe not. Maybe not. They could say that about you.
No, he is. So the crime he told me he's in there for, I checked out because I didn't want to be talking. I want to know what he's in there for. He told me he's in there for murdering his mate. He's not in there for murdering his mate. He's in there for murdering and raping a 16-year-old girl, throwing her over the fence. So he's having a bad 10 years. And when I found that out, I thought it's good that he's having such a bad sentence, and I hope there's another 15 years of hell in there. But that's the only. And so anyone who's been in prison, it's the hustle and bustle of being in prison. It's the noises of being in prison, the environment of being in prison. But this wasn't like being in a prison because, as I said, the only person I saw briefly, which was once. So, and again, when I got in there, I expected the same as last time. 23.5-hour bang up, them to block, and they blocked. Like last time, the only time they'd get me out was at lunchtime for my shower. And that's when I could use the phone. And my wife at the time was working actually in the school, she's not now, but she was working in the school. And my kids were at school, so I couldn't speak to my family. And they purposely done everything, so I expected the same. But, and I was probably quite rude the first day. I remember when the governor come down to see me, I just said, shut the door. Because I expected the same, but then I knew quite quickly it wasn't the same. You know what I mean? But essentially, that governor is in a position where I've landed in his prison, which is why I haven't got a bad word to say about Belmarsh. I'm annoyed and angered and frustrated at what they've been allowed to do again. By putting me at the Old Bailey, they know that sends me to Belmarsh. Belmarsh houses the worst terrorists and the worst...
It's like Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, it's the worst offenders in the UK are sent to Belmarsh. Salman Abedi's brothers, I believe, in there now. The man who attacked the police officer, the British, he come in there. So it's terrorists and murderers.
And you.
And a civil offender. So Ross Kemp, that's what, because Ross Kemp's doing a documentary.
He's a British journalist?
Yeah, he's doing it, and that's what he come down after a couple of days. And I don't put it, I think he come down after a couple of days saying, how do you feel? And you're not a threat here, and he's right. And there was at no time in that sentence, after the first couple of days, did I feel in danger. You know, which is very different to my last sentence. So, as I said, the governor, once I'm in his jail, he's got a duty of care to keep me safe. So he's fulfilling his duty of care to keep me safe. But the argument, what I was saying to Ross Kemp is, in the last 12 months, I'm a journalist. I work as a journalist. Whether the media like it or not, whether Jeffrey Cox or the British government or any of them like it, I've become the most watched journalist in the UK. They don't like that. Now, they don't like the stories I tell. Now, if the judges sum it up, let's pretend for a second that I did commit contempt of court, which I didn't. Let's pretend I did. Then in the judges summing up what she sent to me, because I had a way out of it, which I read to Ross Kemp. I said, listen to what she said. My offence was unintentional. So she's not saying I intended to break the law. So what she's saying is, I committed an accident, an error, whilst working. Yeah? And for that error, that had no effect at all on the trial, they see this as a fit punishment. I've done, in the last 12 months, I've spent 2.5 months, 3 months nearly, on solitary confinement in awful conditions in H&P Onley, with them messing with everything they couldn't mess with. This sentence was very different, in the sense that the staff were great. When I saw them, you know what I mean? I only see them for 2 hours when my cell opens, and then because of this unit that I'm on, I believe the unit was built for Ian Huntley.
Who was he?
Ian Huntley murdered 2 young children, 2 young girls, raped killed them. So Ian Huntley's on it. There was another, Abu Hamza, I believe, has been on it. Michael Bellagio has been on it. So it's an isolation unit. But there's 2 or 3 cells. So sometimes when they've got some people on, they might have a few of them on there. But essentially when I was on there, it's just me on there. And so I said, I'm on this isolation unit for a civil offence. and for me, that's what I said, where I'm feeling sorry for myself, I said, this is just bullshit. For the whole world to see, and it sends out I think, a terrible image of this country, that a journalist can get locked up, and it's not just locked up, it's not like, prison's prison, and I've been to prison multiple times, as people know, and I've had, in 2014, even when I was violently battered, I still had an alright sentence. I was on the wing, I was working, so people understand what your prison system is. Even the terrorists, so the terrorists in Belmarsh, HMP Belmarsh, on the terrorist wing, they get out of their cell at 8 in the morning, they then get locked up at 12. They then get out at 2, they're locked up at 6. They're out all day. They can work, they can have education, they can play pool, they can play snooker. The prisoners have the football pitches, you have all these things that keep you occupied and keep you busy. So essentially your day is like you're at work, and then you're locked up at night, basically. So that's why I said I'm a civil offender. I'm the least offence in this whole entire prison. But I'm locked up the most out of anyone in this prison. It doesn't make any sense. But I'm not having a go again because I was stressed out. I'm not saying anything about Belmarsh, because there's nothing else that governor could have done.
Right. That prison governor was sent to you. So what could he do? But do what he did.
Well, I asked when I got in there to be located in a. I didn't ask for isolation again.
Right.
So I didn't go in and say I need protection. You need to isolate me. They didn't even ask a question this time. It was straight from you're going down.
Well,
but they said. So I said, why can't I be sent to a decap prison, which is what
a casual prison, like a low risk.
Yeah, where you go home at weekends, you know, and you don't get locked up. It's for low. In fact, my offence is a decap offence. So I said, how can I walk out of maximum security jail for contempt of court in a maximum security?
Did you ever get an answer to that?
No. And then it's like, yeah. So I said, and then even the location. So if they'd have moved me to Exeter prison, I'd have been fine. Because they moved me to prison with low Muslim population, I'd be fine.
You know, this morning when you came out of prison, I think there was only one other group of journalists there. There might have been a second, but the Daily Mirror was there. And it was remarkable to me. The reporter from the Daily Mirror was not just, I like a reporter that asks a tough question. That's the only interesting kind of reporter there is. But he wasn't asking you a question. He was prosecuting you. He was telling you why you were wrong and why the system was wrong.
When he doesn't know.
He's not well briefed in the facts, but that's fine. A lot of journalists are ignorant. Maybe I shouldn't be shocked anymore, but he was saying, no, this is excellent. You specifically said if this happened in Russia or Venezuela, we'd be shocked. He said, no, this is exactly, I couldn't believe a journalist was exuberant about your censorship in prison.
They're activists rather than journalists.
But I haven't seen one journalist in the entire United Kingdom, other than a couple of guys at Breitbart, not one at the Telegraph, at the Times, at the Mirror, at the Mail, at the Sun, not one.
Well, my frustrating thing is, you said he was from the Mirror. The Mirror, whilst I was in prison, the Mirror ran a story, which actually the governor come in with Ross Kemp with the newspaper to say, and it's front page of the newspaper. And there was this story put out in the Daily Mirror. So the audacity of that journalist to come from the same paper, which absolutely made up a story.
They said that you were knocked out in one punch by a 70-year-old pensioner in the showers. I got that news in Canada. It was front page news in the Daily Express, and I think the Mirror picked it up.
Daily Star, the Mirror, the Radio.
The Star, that's right. It was the Daily Star. And I thought to myself, and you were incommunicado. I thought that can't be right. But maybe it was, if it's on the front page of the Star. Front page,
the upsetting thing for me is that I ring home and my kids have been sent there. Yeah. So my kids think I'm being attacked in jail, which isn't true. But the other thing is that story's gone out. No, they didn't even ring the prison. It's completely lying. The purpose for that, if you read the story, there's 2 pages in the paper as well. If you read that story, it paints an image of who I am. It says that I come into prison thinking I'm the big man.
Yeah, they said you walked in with a swagger.
And it said I was trying to intimidate an old age pensioner. And then it said, so that is the image that they're portraying. Another story went out whilst I was in there saying I bought drugs in the gym and I bought drugs in the gym and I was rushed to hospital for taking a detergent or something.
And this was published?
This was all published, yeah. And they're just completely made up.
You know, and obviously they didn't even pick up the phone to check.
No, because I asked the governor. He's like, because when he bought the paper, he goes, this isn't good. It's not good for our jail. I said, it's not going to do me. I said, what do you, like, I read one of these a month.
Yeah.
And I said, did they ring you? He goes, no, they meant to. They didn't ring us at all, they meant to. And then he said, because one of my supporters had gone into the reception of the prison that morning when it came out, saying, well, there'll be hundreds of us coming back here. Like, and so he actually said it puts my staff in danger.
Well, and it makes the prison look like a place with no discipline and with random violence.
Do you know what? It was,
maybe it is, but it wasn't in these cases.
Well, from what I saw of it, it was it had complete discipline. And the governor, so in that first week, when I first come into the jail, I thought 23.5 hour lockup, everything's going to be, I'm not going to get in the gym. So, and there was a protest outside, obviously, planned, which I wanted. And then I know that then some people on the outside, for the best intentions, I know Shazia Hobbs was contacting my wife, and I'm on a prison phone that's constantly monitored, so I can't say things on the phone. I cannot be sitting in a prison cell on a phone organising protests or things outside. So I know there's a protest happening, which I want to happen, because I want it to be in a position as such to bargain with the governor,
right.
Which the governor then come and saw me and said, look, this is disruptive to the jail, we can't have this. I said, all I want is my rights recognised. I'll make sure no one comes near this prison. And I know at the time there was a lot of suspicion, like I know Shazia, for all of the right intentions, was thinking that a protest outside the jail would upset all the other inmates, which would be problematic for me. But not knowing that I know that I'm inside the prison and no one's seeing me anyway, so there was, yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Well, did you have your rights respected? I remember, I think in my second visit to you, you said you had not received mail for a month. And I made a fuss, and shortly thereafter you got it. That upset me that you didn't get your mail. Did you finally get everything?
I finally got my mail. So essentially, the number, I don't complain about much. And once I saw, all I said to the governor when I come in, I just want to use the gym. Yeah, just get me in the gym. And he did. On a Tuesday morning and a Thursday morning, before the staff started work. So some of the staff would come in early to walk me through to the gym. So
to the real gym.
To the actual gym, with some weights. So I'd be in the gym on my own.
Yeah.
Then just a little, so that's 7:30 they're meant to get you. Yeah. So this is little things that will just absolutely, so at 7:30 they're meant to get you, and then so it might be a Thursday morning, I'm sitting there at 7:30 thinking this is the only time I'm getting off of this thing anyway, so I want to do, and they might not turn up. So there was about 4 times when they didn't turn up, which then, when they open the door, I want to kill someone. Now, I just want to get in the gym. But
I remember in Onley, they cancelled one of your lawyers' meetings, and they...
Yeah, this wasn't, there's nothing, I would say that nothing, even when people were late, I would say that, in fact, after meeting the governor, they done everything, so nothing untoward.
Right,
with regards, and my phone calls, with regards to the mail, what they said is your mail's up here, yeah, and it has to be read. It has to go through counter-terrorism. I think that counter-terrorism could have a lot more better time if they stopped looking at the letters.
There's 23,000 jihadis that track.
Reading letters from my mum and my supporters, who the average age is a 60-year-old female, and actually look at some Islamic jihadis. But counter-terrorism has to go through my mail, so everything has to be censored. So that's what they said. But to be honest, once I made the point and pushed the point to the governor, instantly they were in on overtime doing my mail, and I read. Anyone who sent me a letter, I read every one of them.
Now, your first time in Onley, you had, I think, 6 big duffel bags of mail. How many do you have this time?
We'll check out, I think about 14. And I mean, for me, it's a emotional and fulfilling to read people's stories of their difficulties in supporting me, to read their difficulties at work. What is apparent is that everyone feels silence, and to read what they've gone through to show support for me, and to read how much they care. So I'm reading all these stories, and to read on my campaign, in my MEP campaign, I was going the working class to working class to working class. Judging by my mail, it's a very different mix-up of support, and a lot of these supporters are supporters that can't come out. They tell me their work, their jobs. I feel like there's so many people I know now, because some people message me daily. Certain people just think, I know your whole life, I hope you enjoy dancing. So I used to, I'd spend 5 hours a day reading.
Well, I guess that keeps you company if you don't have human company. Now, in Onley, you didn't have any voices other than the shouting at you, so they didn't give you a TV. Did you have a TV this time?
Yeah, I did.
All right.
I didn't really. I turned the TV on in the evening if I watch it, because as I said, during the day, I've done an hour on that bike every morning.
Well, that's great. So you got those emails from email@prisoner.com. Those were coming through.
Yeah, and then I've got. I'll show you after this. We'll have a quick look. The cards I've got from all over the world. Just it's amazing. Do you know what I mean? And it was also quite satisfying to think, to read the stories, and many of them, male, would be from people who only started following me in the last 12 months. And many of them would start saying, I'm a law-abiding citizen, I never broke the law, I've always had trust in our system, in judiciary, I cannot believe what I've just witnessed over the last 12 months. So, in the sense, I think, if whatever your objective was within this prison sentence, which I generally believe each time would be to try and just break me, is you're actually waking more people up. You're enlightening more people to the corruption of the media, the corruption. I'm actually, Boris Johnson, I'm quite happy to see the same government as, I actually like Boris Johnson, I think he's shown himself as a very strong leader, but Geoffrey Cox, the Attorney General, who's still an Attorney General, I think that government now knows what it's like when you get a politicised decision from a court.
Yes,
You've now got a politicised decision from the Court of Scotland, and now you know how it feels, because my decision at the Old Bailey was politicised. But anyone who just, you tried to prosecute me, I got out of jail. We went before the head judge of the Old Bailey, he kicked out. What they then done is just replace the head judge of the Old Bailey and put me back in.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, they'll keep trying. If they don't try this, they'll try that. I mean, I read your book, Enemy of the State, and, you know, the secret police have a saying, show us the man, we'll find the crime. Like, if you investigate a guy enough, you'll find something on him, even if it's an overdue library book. And I sense that that's the approach they're taking with you, to waste your money, to waste your time, to stress you out, to stress out your family, to fatigue your supporters. I think that they are turning the process into the punishment. 66 days in prison is a punishment too, but that's actually a lot shorter. I mean, you've been fighting this stupid contempt of court thing for 16 months.
So yeah, even when I was in there, because I was getting anxious and worrying about coming out, because I'm generally thinking, what next? What next? Because what's coming next? You know? And I don't know essentially I don't know if I was worrying more because I'm on isolation, and that makes you worry, or because I'm getting older. But I was thinking, Jesus, man, what is coming next from their point? What are they going to do next?
Well, let me ask you this, and again, if this is something confidential, just say so and I'll move on. Before you went in on an American TV show, InfoWars, you said you were interested in asylum in America. And that was an interesting talking point, but my point of view is if you're interested in asylum, apply for asylum. Now, you can say Ezra pass if you don't want to.
I am 100% interested in my wife and children being safe. And that would
in a foreign country?
In the United States of America, I love it. With regards to myself, there's a fight going on in this country, and I want to be part of it.
I can't imagine you in any. I mean, taking Tommy out of the UK is like taking de Gaulle out of France. There's no such thing as de Gaulle outside of France. I don't even know if you could exist outside the UK.
No. So again, times change and things change, and my worry again was when I was in jail that something could happen at my house or something. You know what I mean? When I'm not there. So all of those things play in. Just about.
Was it easier on your family this time because they had the phone calls and the visits?
It was easier on them, and we know we have the support. So, yeah, my son handled it a lot better. My youngest didn't as much, but yeah, I think because we knew it was happening, and then I don't know if it's because I'm in jail, and I know. So when I was in prison last time, I felt fine. When I was walking out, I thought it looked great, and then everyone's like, Jesus Christ, probably going to stay here. But then I realised I wasn't right from that time in jail. So then I don't know.
I was shocked when I saw you. I didn't even want to tell you what you looked like.
Don't worry, some of my family did.
Yeah.
But so then I thought. So then this time I think I was conscious on the back of my head as well, because then I think, oh, this is going to happen again. I'm sat here again, and then when I get out again, I'll have all the same problems I had last time.
All right, now we got you out of prison in the morning. had a quick stop by McDonald's.
I've been watching Double Quarter Pounder advertised on TV. I know that they stopped them on the 24th of September, so I was thinking
Got you a haircut, you went home, had a shower, etc. Your kids, let's check the time here. Kids are almost out of school, so I want to let you go. But there are two questions I have for you before we go. And maybe these are just of interest to me, but I think some of your viewers want to know too. We have a new Prime Minister in the UK who's a little bit eccentric in some ways, who's a little bit free. He has shown himself to be a free speecher in the past. Do you have, I remember once he wrote a great column in the paper in defense of gutter journalism. He says, gutter journalism keeps the gutters clean. I remember, he said, I don't care how nasty it is, free speech. I was impressed with that. I don't know if he's that way today. What's your feelings about Boris Johnson's government, Nigel Farage's influence? Do you have any hope that the essential systemic problems in the UK will be fixed or not even?
the opportunity is there hugely for Boris Johnson. I think his cabinet as well. I think Priti Patel was brilliant. Watched her for years. She's Home Secretary. I think they're dealing with the problems caused. I think that the clear out of the 21, the purging of the people who are Remainers, who aren't actually conservative in their views in many ways. I don't know, you can be hopeful, but they're not going to let him, are they? So the battle that's commencing is Boris Johnson, eaten, educated, representing the people. There is I think he needs a pact, or should do a pact with Nigel Farage, so that the Brexit Party target Labour heartlands, that simply the Tories can't go in and get the votes. They got the mining towns where there's such a disillusion or such a resentment against what is the Tory party. The Brexit Party can generally feel that, but I don't know. Again, Nigel Farage, I think, threw a lot of people under the bus, but he has put pressure. It was the European result, so you have to look at where it's gone. It was probably the right move in everything he's done as well. Even when he slammed us, it probably has been the right move to put pressure. The Tory party and Boris Johnson realising as he's coming in, if he doesn't deliver on Brexit, he knows the Tory party finished. If he doesn't deliver. But people don't want Theresa May's deal, getting rid of the backstop. That's not Brexit. So time will tell. But essentially, all of these things, it's interesting times. It's interesting.
Last question. Earlier you mentioned your identity as a journalist.
Artie Jarvis as well. I thought he'd been great when I've been watching him.
I like your phrase that you're a journalist whether the media likes it or not. And it's true. Journalism is an activity. It's not like a DNA test. It's
not just a journalist, but what they hate is the most watched journalist in their country.
Well, and then even today, all those tabloids, they were there because you get clicks. They say they hate you, but they actually love talking about you, but they disparage you. It's strange. It's like Trump in a way.
It's and the lies, man. So essentially, I've got plans. I'm just going to take my time, but I have got lots of plans for documentaries I want to make and ideas I've had whilst even sat in there. Things I've been working on with regards to confronting their lies.
Can you give us some hints? I know you're talking about the rape of Britain.
With the rape of Britain, so people, just to get a few things out clear as well. Before I went to prison, I showed a promo for a documentary called Shalom. Jesus Christ, and the usual old school BNP types, the usual people who want to use an excuse to attack, and I'm a Zionist. Those usual people all leapt on it. Yeah? Now, I knew I was going to jail. Okay, I knew I was coming back to prison. I want to start working on the rape of Britain. I want to do this. We've laid the foundations, but I also don't want to mess about. When I sit down, when I go to those cities and start getting those young victims to tell their stories with their families, I know the consequence that's going to bring from Muslim gangs and from the police trying to shut it down. Now, so I know I'm going to jail. If I'd have gone up and started those things and then got sent to jail for a year or 2 years, which I'm expecting, and leave those people in limbo, when I go and start that documentary, I will move into that city for 4 weeks and I will get every single thing on camera. So before I'm going to jail, I thought I'm not going to disappear and live in a different town for 4 weeks. I'm going to be with my wife and kids before I go to jail. I got told, as I told you, that my case would be adjourned for pre-sentence reports. I had a 6 to 8 week gap where I thought, right, I can fit in Shalom. Yeah? In this, Shalom was the documentary which we tried to work. We were all trying to tell, but Caleb was, with the fallout of Caleb and that, they had rights signed by, so people know Yisrael Shalom, people think it's about Israel, and it's about, and the word Shalom. Yisrael Shalom is the gentleman's name. He was a bloke who'd become a friend of mine who was persecuted to death. I'm telling his story. Yeah? So rather than just sit at home for 8 weeks before going to prison, I thought I can fit in, while seeing my family, I can fit in this documentary. So my idea was to fit in this documentary, which we didn't get to fit in because they sent me straight to jail, and then the Rape of Britain. So even now, the Rape of Britain is going to be a risky documentary to tell and show, because I'm going to find the groomers. I know who some of them are already. I know their businesses. I'm going to walk into their businesses. These sort of things are going to cause disruption, probably attacks against me. So essentially now, and I need to move to the towns and cities. I'm coming out of jail now. I'm not about to move next week to another town and city and be away from my family for weeks on end. So I'm going to put in my time period for starting that documentary. I'm going to give myself a little bit of time. That, and I've got another documentary which I can work on easily as well. But that's what I want to do, is just tell the stories that people aren't telling, uncover and embarrass the people who deserve embarrassing, the people sitting enjoying their pensions, who turned a blind eye and allowed the rape of our children. I think everyone in the country needs to know their faces. They need confronting, and when I say confronting with a camera. They need to be put in the limelight. Spotlight needs to be on them for a little while. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. But I need to plan it right and do it at the right time. Yeah.
Well, Tommy, your kids are almost out of school, so I'll wrap up. But I recall that it was exactly in the same pub that you and I met and chatted when you were released out of Onley, the horrible prison in which you were tortured. And I must say that physically, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, you were so much better now than you were shell-shocked back then. It was like a detonation went off next to your head. I wasn't expecting to get released when I got released.
Right.
So I wasn't expecting to get released. This time as well, even this morning, I was quite emotional this morning, but that's from being looked up by. No, it's not normal. I was quite, and even I wasn't excited about getting out, which I should be sure.
Isn't that interesting? Well, Tommy, I want to let you know, because it sounds like you got a lot of mail, but we get an enormous amount of email and comments on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook. And I think you know it, but I'll just tell you anyways. There are people, not just in the United Kingdom, but around the world, who follow your story. They feel like they have a personal friendship with you.
Yeah.
And some of them do.
It's not just my journey, it's theirs.
Well, and the issues you talk about are so, they ring a bell for so many people. And so a lot of people, I know if they could speak through me here, they would say, please keep it up, please be smart, please be careful, please make good choices, but please keep fighting. Because as I've said before, I believe that you're the last lion. And if they stop you, well then who else could there possibly be? So you've got to keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Again, I was asked that this morning, will you be back? Because there's a documentary being filmed in Belmarsh Prison. Will you be back?
Back in prison is what they meant?
Will you be back?
Well, let's do our best to let that
Let's do our best, but I said the same answer to him, is the minute you start worrying about consequences, the minute you stop doing what you do. Yeah. Now I'm going to continue to do what I do. I don't intend to break any laws. I'm not going to break any laws. I will defend myself. I need to defend myself at times. But it's like I'm going to continue doing the work I do. You've seen how much that's upset and angered them already. If I'll just say a massive, I'm going to, people get a video from me in the next week, talking about my experience as well and about how grateful I am. But to everyone who wrote to me, everyone who mailed to me, all the people who spent their money travelling, some of the distances, I'm reading your mails. I'm reading the mails of some people and they're telling me the times they're getting on megabuses and they're transport down on their own, against their family's wishes. And then I'm reading the full stories, and it was such a, as I say, fulfilling, heartwarming to read their journeys that they've gone on themselves, from being here to waking up to questioning to falling out with family and I say the same thing to all of them. I've been through that same experience, and all the people who have turned against you, or your friends that might be disagreeing with you and not understanding, there will come a time when they understand, and then they'll realise that they're wrong, and you'll see the same as I've seen. So yeah, I'm grateful, and as I said, I'm grateful to everyone for the support, man.
Right on. Well, folks, I thank you for joining us today, and I want to say thanks to the folks who have chipped in for the crowdfunding. This is my third trip over during the period of your.
I want your air miles, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. And Jessica, the young reporter, who visited you with a chaperone, I might add, because of the gossips out there. Let me set that straight. And I'm glad we did, because you say the prison was exemplary, and I take your word for it.
I said this morning, because they've got this documentary and they finished filming today, and I said, would I have been treated fair if your cameras weren't here? But then, if I'm honest, I said that might be a bit unfair because after meeting Rob Davis, who's the governor, and when I say meeting him, in this unit that I'm on, every single day someone has to come from healthcare, someone has to come, because you're in isolation, someone has to come, a governor has to come, whether it be duty governor, but they have to come and say, are you okay? Yeah. Now, I'd say that, is it a bit unfair saying that? I think that after meeting him, no matter what, he'd have treated me the same way I've been treated. He's a completely fair bloke and he's doing a good job and a difficult job. And
Well, I hope so, but I agree with your assessment. We'll never know.
You wouldn't know, but this is the first time. This is the first time they've treated me like that. First time I've been taken to the gym. First time.
I think that this other British journalist, him being there was important. I think the 4 rebel visits, we'll never know what it would have been like had not. I'm glad we did it, and I enjoyed visiting you.
No, well, it got me. I said, so my day is 11:15 locked up, yeah? And then until the next morning at 9 o'clock. That's a long day. It's a long day, no matter what. It's a long day. So I said, on that shit blue mat, you've seen them. I was on blue mat, but so I spent 22 hours a day sitting on that mat. But so when you come when I have a visit at 2 o'clock, it's completely. It weren't like a day. It weren't for me. That day's done because then I think they lock the door up at 11:15. They're opening it again at 2 o'clock. Then they bang it back up at 4, and then Friends is on.
We had a range of visitors. I was glad to be one, and in one of my visits, it was your old friends from way back in the day, and to see you just banter and have that laugh, it probably took you half an hour just to get into the conversational groove again, because you can't live in silence and then just become social immediately. That's what made me the happiest, is it took like a half hour, an hour for you to normalize again, and the jokes. I mean,
which is, you know, the tiring of that is, when my kids come in, I felt exhausted after a visit because I want them to see me in the best, like that nothing's going wrong. That but even my mates, I said, I don't know if I said that earlier. I was going to buy the Muslim gown. I was going to do it new, and come walking into a visit, like.
That would be.
I was going to do it coming out of jail. Because you can buy it £22 it was in the canteen.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, Tommy, let's let you get back to your kids, folks.
Thanks
For watching. If you want to chip into the crowdfunding, go to prisonreports.com. I'll be back in the UK. Tommy has another trial. I don't think it's a secret. I think I can mention.
No, it's not a secret. I was going to do a video updating everyone on lots of stuff because I've got 3 more court dates in the next 8 weeks.
Wow, well, I know only about one of them. I'll be there for the football trial where they're trying to ban you from football. That's in October. So you can tell me about
you know the Daily Mirror journalist said earlier, like, I was at the Old Bailey because I'm high profile. Yeah? No, I'm at Luton Court. October 18th.
Yeah, that Daily Mirror interaction was as weird as yet. Let's get you out of here, my friend.
Thanks.
All right, from all of us here at the Rebel to you.